Riley, in place of your father, I've gone ahead and sent the money over for your child support.
Thank you, Grandma. Dad will be back from his trip in 2 months, right?
Yes, it appears so. He really has such a tough job to do. He has to be away from his house all the time, and he's so busy that you can't even get a response out of him for small lengths of time. I'm sorry that it's so hard to stay in touch with him, Riley.
He has a really cool job, but it is a very tough one. But don't worry, Grandma. I understand his situation. And also, we both made a promise that the moment he gets back, we'll get together. He told me that he'd take me out for some really good dinner at the place of my choosing.
But right now you're busy studying for your exams, right? Aren't you a bit too busy to be doing things like that?
When he's back in town, I'll take the day off to see him. I don't need to study every single day of my life for this exam, right?
Well, as long as you're feeling confident. But you being that confident is all thanks to the time and effort you've already been putting in at school. That's really paid off for you so far. You are such a great kid.
Actually, I really want to work a job like Dad does. So that's why I've been paying good attention in school and know a lot of things. I still have ways to go yet, but someday I want to be the person anyone can rely on.
Well, in my eyes, even now I think of you as someone I can rely on for anything. So just make sure you're not working yourself too hard or something you already have. You told me before that you stayed out really late studying for one of your tests in history, right?
Well, that's just the amount of studying I needed to do for that test. I have trouble sometimes remembering things like names and locations in history. I also had to work my part-time job that day, so that's what led me to coming home really late.
What? You're working part-time now?
Well, occasionally.
But you're only months away from your exams, right? Can you at least clear your schedule of work until after you've taken all of them?
I can't, though. I have to balance things out for myself, so don't worry. Also, I kind of need the money. There's something I've been really wanting.
Something you've been wanting? You can't just buy it with the allowance you're already getting?
It's a secret, actually.
If it's something that you really want, then I guess I can't stop you from working towards it. But just make sure not to overdo it, okay? It's only you and your mom right now, so you've been having to help out with chores around the house, right?
Grandma, I'm totally fine. I've been doing the chores around the house for a long time now. And doing things like this now will get me used to what life will be like living on my own.
But the fact that you're doing so much right now is what's worrying me. I know I'm always saying this to you, but if you ever find yourself in need of help, don't be afraid to come to me. And at times when you're not able to get in touch with your father, you can come talk to me about it.
Okay, thank you, Grandma. But you are aware that I'm in my senior year of high school, right? So you can really calm down about all of this and know I have myself handled.
Well, to me, even your father is still a child and needs my care at times. Which means that you are still a baby to me.
Come on now. You're the only one that still thinks of me as some kind of toddler. Everyone else seems to think of me in another way, calling me one of the most adult-like teens they've ever met.
It's fine for me to think of you as a child still, right? Because really, in my eyes, you are the same little Riley I've always known. And that's because you are still so dang cute to me. Anyway, me being this worried about you is only because I have to live so far away from you now.
Thank you so much, Grandma. But I really have everything handled in my life, and I'm totally fine. If anything, you need to start worrying about yourself more than me, right? I heard from Dad a few weeks ago that you went for a little hike and ended up falling down hurting your ankle pretty badly, right?
I can't believe he'd talk with you about something like that. I just happened to not see the root sticking out of the ground in front of me and I caught my foot on it. I'm completely fine now.
Well, if that's the case, then fine. But you know that it's only going to get colder this month, so please make sure not to catch any colds, all right?
Okay. And the same thing goes for you, Riley. Make sure you're staying really warm and are taking hot showers when needed. Tiffany, I was very surprised by what just happened. You came over here, right?
Judith, I'm sorry that I didn't really say anything to you a second ago when we crossed paths.
No, you don't have to be sorry about that. You happened to be with someone else at the time. That was someone from work, right? Something like that?
Yes, that's absolutely right. I am on a small business trip right now, and that's why I'm back in town around here.
That's what I had assumed. Well, anyway, I've been talking with Riley quite a bit, but are you doing all right for yourself, Tiffany?
Yeah, I'm making it work. It's been a long time since things happened between your son and I, and well, I'm getting used to being a single parent. And Riley's gotten a lot bigger now. And of course, having you around to help out with her has helped me a lot as well.
Riley's really become one of the smartest, most mature people I've ever met. That just shows how well you've been raising her, Tiffany.
You don't have to say things like that.
I understand things are a lot tougher than when it's just you in the house taking care of your daughter, but I really am thankful that a woman like you has been there to raise my beautiful granddaughter.
And the same thing goes for me. Thank you for always being there to talk with Riley when she needs it.
Now that we're talking about her, she had told me something earlier this week. Is she really working a part-time job right now?
Ah, right. Yes, she is.
I'm a little bit worried about her putting some of her time into something like that when she has some really big exams coming up here soon. Riley told me that having a part-time job and all that has helped her learn to balance her time and whatnot, and that she needs the money to buy something she's been wanting. But really, I want her to be more focused on her exams for the time being, until she's finished taking all of them. Tiffany, do you have any idea what Riley's been wanting to buy? If it's something she needs a bit of money for, then I'd be glad to lend some.
No. You don't have to be worried about that. The thing that Riley's been wanting is something that really doesn't affect her life in any way.
Is that right? But she told me it's something she's not able to afford with her allowance. So it must be something really expensive.
The girl's in her senior year of high school, right? By this point, I'm sure that she has a lot of other girls in her grade have all kinds of brand name clothing and goods. I think that Riley herself probably wants a bag or something, and that's why she's saving up.
Wow, so she's really started to get into wanting high-end brands now.
The kids these days are all loaded with all sorts of branded things. From backpacks to pencil cases, it's wild. I'm not sure if they're buying them with their own money or if it's from their parents spoiling them, but even the girls that Riley hangs out with a lot happen to have some really nice bags.
I guess she is a young woman now, and when they get to that age, they really start to find interest in things like that. I'm just a bit surprised that someone like Riley would want something as expensive as a brand bag or whatnot. I always assumed that she never really cared about those sorts of things.
Well, with the world we're living in now, people are constantly talking about branded things online on all forms of social media. There are even girls her age acting as influencers, trying to get other people to join in on buying the same things they have. She's had a lot of chances now to see things like that, and I'm sure that's all playing a huge part.
Huh? Times have really changed.
Naturally, from the point of view of parents, we know that as our kids get into their teens, they are going to want more and more expensive things. Of course, if they are willing to work for their own money to get those things, I have no right stopping them. So that means, in Riley's case, you really don't have to lend her any money to go out and buy things like that.
That's right. I guess with the way things are now, it's best that I let her handle her own money, instead of having me hand mine over to her. But she really does have some very important exams coming up here, so is it really okay for her to be working when she needs to be studying?
She's working because she wants to, so you can let it be now. If her working that part-time job leads to her failing the exams, then that's on her, right?
Well, if that's what you're fine with, I won't make any comments on it. But just know that right now is the most important time for her to be studying for those exams. And with the college she's wanting to aim for, it's a hard place to get into, and most other people who plan to go there are already doing cram school and things like that when they get out of class for the day. I'm just worried Riley hasn't been taking this whole thing as seriously as she should be.
If Riley is telling you that she's fine, then I think that's good enough reason to believe in what she's saying. She's a very smart girl and knows how to handle things like this.
Of course, this isn't about me not believing in her or anything like that.
Judith, you're being a bit too worrisome about all this. We have rules over at my house as well when it comes to things like studying for big tests, and know that Riley is following all of them. Also, that girl wants to work part-time right now.
I'm sure that's the case. I'm really sorry, Tiffany. I think I may have talked far too much on this topic now.
No worries. I understand that you are a little anxious about how things are going for Riley. But that girl has made up her mind on what she wants to do, and there's no changing that. No matter what I've tried saying to her, she's told me she's not quitting that job.
That's true. All right, then. If that's something that Riley really wants to be doing at this point in time, I'm not going to do anything more to try and stop her. As for yourself, you haven't had anything you've been worried about recently, right? Nothing troubling you, perhaps?
Nothing that I'm aware of. Right now, things feel like they're going as they should be.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm sorry for taking up a lot of your time talking about things today. It was nice seeing you earlier, even if it was only for a second.
No, thank you for texting me today.
Well then, good luck with whatever work you have left on this small business trip of yours. Make sure you're taking good care of your health as well, all right?
Grandma, I finished all my exams.
Good work, Riley. How are you feeling now that the tests are all over with?
Well, I'm feeling like I did a really good job on all of them. But who knows, right? I really hope I didn't make any stupid mistakes on any of the questions.
I think that you did your very best this time, Riley. I'm sure even your teachers have been telling you that you're a really great student and that you never make stupid mistakes anymore, right?
They do say things like that, but this time was different. I mean, everyone taking these exams have all studied to some degree. But no matter how much someone studies for these exams, there is always room for a thoughtless mistake to ruin it all. Well, after taking all those exams, I've just lost a little bit of my confidence.
But even if you make one or two mistakes that lead to you failing the exam, the world's not over, right? You can always do a retake at the end of the day.
No, I can't.
Huh? Are you not planning to retake the exams if you fail one of them?
Well, it costs a lot of money to have to go and study some more for a test like that.
But your father or I can help you pay.
But I really don't want to force either of you to have to keep paying for my education like that.
But you are my granddaughter, so I will do anything for you and never see it as a problem.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure. You've never once caused me any kind of trouble, and needing financial help for your future is something I'm completely fine with doing for you. You are very, very important to me, Riley. I understand that I'm living far away from you now, but I will do anything in my power to help you out. I'm always saying things like this, right? When you're in trouble, you can always come and talk to me.
Grandma? Actually, I've been wanting to ask something from you for a very long time now.
Ask something from me? What is it?
Grandma, could you please pay my tuition so that I can go to college? Of course, this is only if I get a good enough score on my exams and end up being accepted. But if I am accepted, it'll be around $40,000 for the first year there. Of course, I'll continue to work myself while going to school, and will use that money I earn to pay you back slowly. But Grandma, I really, really, really want to go to college. And especially this one that I've had on my mind.
What are you talking about? We have been giving your mother money this whole time to help pay for you when you go to school. I'm sure it won't be able to cover all the costs, but she herself has been working a job all this time and should have been saving up for you, right? I feel that I've at least given her enough money to support you going to school for a year or two, right?
What? My mom told me she never received that kind of money.
Ah, well that's because when it comes to paying for college, it costs a large amount of money. I put it all into her bank account and not into yours.
But she's never told me anything about that money.
Perhaps she's forgotten to tell you about it or something? I know that she's been a very busy woman herself, so maybe she's totally forgotten that you need to know about the money now.
I don't think that's the case. She would have never been saying the things she said to me if she's received money from all of you for me to go to school. She's been telling me for a year now that the only way I'm going to college is if I pay for it myself.
What? She told you that?
That's why I've been working so hard to study both for my exams and work a part-time job.
So the thing that you've been wanting wasn't some expensive bag, but tuition for school?
An expensive bag? I don't really care about branded clothing or bags, Grandma.
But your mother told me something like this when I asked her a few months ago.
Mom said that? That's a freaking lie! Aren't you aware that my mom likes to say things like that in order to make herself look good? I think that Mom has been using all that money you and Dad gave her for me on herself.
Are you sure? Your mother would never do something like that, right?
Grandma, my mom is that kind of selfish woman. The reason Dad had to divorce Mom is because Mom did a lot of bad things to him.
You're telling me that it was her fault for the divorce? I heard from her that it was just due to both of them not wanting the same things in marriage any longer.
I think her and Dad were just saying that to keep you out of all of it. The real reason Dad left her is because she had been cheating on him with another man.
Tiffany cheated on my son? Are you sure?
Yes. I'm sorry for telling you all this horrible stuff after not hearing about it ever. Dad had been doing his best to hide it from you, and now I've gone and spilled it.
You don't have to worry about your parents' secret. I am a little shocked by all of this, but that all happened years ago, so there's nothing I can do about it now. And the reason you went and told me just then is because you've been working so long to hide all of that from me, right?
Yes.
But we can't forget what your mother did back then. Right now, we need to focus on the fact that your mother has been using your college funds all for herself. I trusted your mother every time I handed that money off to her. To hear that she's been using it all for herself this whole time?
It's just not the school money that she's been using up either. She's even been using up all the child support you've been giving her.
Huh? What do you mean? That money I've been giving directly to you from your dad, right?
I'm so sorry, Grandma.
What? Why are you sorry? What happened between you and your mother?
There is something else I've been hiding from you.
Hello, Tiffany.
Judith, what's been going on with you?
This is about your daughter. Starting today, she is going to be living with me in my house.
Huh?
She's pretty much finished going to high school now, right? And after talking with all her teachers at school, they gave her permission to do her last few days online from here. I'll be taking her to school on the day of her graduation, so there's no need to worry about her missing that in person.
Can you tell me what the heck you're talking about right now? I'm sorry, but I really have no idea what all of this is about.
Are you really sure you have no idea what this could all be about?
Yeah.
I have been giving you money to save up for when Riley went to college, right?
Yes. And I made sure to put that into a special savings account for her.
Well, even while you've had that money from myself and my son, you've told Riley that she has to pay for her tuition all by herself? And that's the reason for why Riley's had to work a part-time job this whole time, right?
You have to understand, I've never had any reason to say something like that to her. Was Riley the one that told you all that herself? Judith, I think that Riley had just gone and lied to you.
And why would Riley ever want to lie to her grandma about something like that?
I'm sure she just wants you to start giving her money. She probably feels that if she can get you to believe her, you'll be the easiest way for her to get loads of money.
Tiffany, I've already heard about everything regarding you and that school money for Riley. And it hasn't just been that money, right? You've even been stealing the child support that we've been giving to Riley every month, haven't you?
Please do not say things like that about me when you've only heard them from a child. I have been using that child support to make sure that she's raised properly. What's wrong with me taking that money from her anyway? I'm her mom, and I think I have the right to the money that the court said I deserve each month.
But you haven't even used a penny of that child support on Riley, right? You use all that money on yourself thinking that you deserve it, not her. Riley has to pay for everything herself. She has to pay for her own smartphone, for her own clothing, for her own utensils for school. And it's all paid for by that part-time job she's been working.
She's been a high schooler for 4 years now. I have to have her pick up some of the slack in this house. I'm a single parent, and I have been for years and years.
Did you know that the only reason my son and I have been paying child support for Riley still is because he never knew she had a part-time job? That was a part of the conditions signed in court even, given by the judge. As long as she's not working, you guys will receive child support. Strange that you've still been getting money from us when she's working for herself now.
It's a really tough and tight life having to live with only the two of us here.
I heard from Riley that you're barely even working a job yourself, though. And before, when you came to town where we ran into one another for a split second, that wasn't for work, was it? I've been told you came back into town to go out on a date with your current lover.
You have it all wrong.
Well, if this is how things have been, then I'd like the money I gave you for Riley to go to school right now.
You want that money back right now?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry, but I can't give you all that money back.
But I thought you said it was all in a separate bank account meant for her. So you've gone and used it all?
Actually, I was fired from my job. And because of that, I wasn't able to afford all the necessities in our house. I'm sorry.
You really are full of these bullcrap excuses, aren't you? I'm going to have a lawyer get in touch with you and get all my money back. And of course, along with that, you'll no longer be receiving any child support from us.
You can't do that to me. That's a huge problem.
I told you that Riley will be over at my house now, living with me, so there's no need for you to get any more money to raise her, right? Child support is only received and used for the sake of the child, of whom you no longer have under your roof anymore.
I'm the one with custody of her, though. Without my approval, you won't be allowed to have her move into your house with you.
Tiffany, do you remember how old Riley is now? She's already turned 18. And according to the law, once someone becomes the age of 18, they have the right to decide on where to live and what to do with their life. It's up to Riley now on how she wants to live her life as an adult.
Hold on for 1 second, though. Riley is already over at your house right now? Let me have a word with her, please.
Riley's told me she no longer wants to talk with you anymore. She must feel as though you just want to threaten her or something now, right? I'm getting that sort of feeling from you myself as well. Riley's already told me about how she's not even related to her own father by blood.
She's gone and told you that now as well?
Yes, she has. I've heard all about it. You and her had a bad fight a while back, right? Over the child support we'd been putting into her account? And when she was not giving you the money you kept asking for, you yelled that she's probably not even related to my son by blood, right? I'm aware that you have even been keeping that fact from us as your ace in the hole, right? That if my son or I stopped sending you money for Riley, you'd threaten us by saying she's not even related to us and that you could take her away at any moment. I know that you already said that to her, and that's what forced her to keep working part-time because she was afraid of never getting to see her dad and I ever again. But listen here, that sort of thing isn't going to fly anymore.
You're wrong. That is all a bunch of crap from Riley. Judith, can you please just believe me here?
Why the hell should I believe any of the things you want to say? The fact that you're not even going to hand me all of her school money back right now tells me all I need to know about the truth surrounding you. And just to make sure I covered everything, I had someone investigating you these past few days. You seem to leave your house quite a lot for someone with no job. Going out to play all the time instead of doing the chores? I guess you really haven't given a single crap about your daughter, have you?
Riley is a senior in high school now, though. She doesn't need me around to live her life anymore.
That's 100% correct. She does not need you around anymore to live her own life. And that's why she is no longer going to be living under your roof any longer. Also, things have been this way ever since you had that divorce with my son, right? You're telling me that you've been leaving the house all day and skipping out on chores ever since Riley was in her first year of middle school? I hate that. How could I have never noticed any of that going on with you guys?
Judith, please. I don't mind letting Riley live over there with you. But can you at least give me child support every month? Or at least find some way to hand me some money for a couple more years?
How much more money do you need before you'll shut the hell up? Riley's been living on her own ever since 6th grade. And that whole time, she was left having to support herself, especially when it came to money. Food, water, electricity. If a 6th grader can start dealing with all that at her age, then you are more than capable of handling your own life now. I also know about what your plans were for her next. You never wanted her to leave for college because you planned to have her live with you in that house for the rest of your life, also that she could be like your mother.
I never wanted something like that.
Well, who cares now? I want all that money I handled you for her schooling back. And along with that, you are never to come around Riley ever again.
Let me come and see her right now. At least let her text me. I will apologize to her. I want to apologize to her. Just give me a few minutes with her and I promise to make things right. She hasn't been talking to me for days now, so please.
Riley's told me she doesn't want to talk to you nor see you, so it's over. Riley never happens to change her mind once it's been made up, right? She's the kind of girl you'll never be able to stop, so just leave it. You were the one saying things like that to me months ago about her, right? After that, I had a lawyer that I got in touch with go over to Tiffany's house and start laying out all the details as to why and when to get me all that money back I gave her for Riley's college. And, well, after a few days, Tiffany's parents decided to step in on her behalf and give me the money I was owed. From this, we also learned that this whole time, Tiffany's parents have been giving her money to take care of herself after losing her job. But when they both found out about what was going on, they told her she would never have their support again. With no more money coming in anymore and the inability to pay rent, Tiffany ran away from her house and went off to the house of her new partner. But it turns out that the man she'd been with for some time wasn't as serious about things as she was, so he kicked her out of his house. She then turned to staying in a hotel for a little bit, and during this time she sent a text to her ex-husband. And in that text, sounding like the most spoiled witch on this planet, she asked him if he would start sending her some money again to help her out. Of course, my son said no to that request before blocking her number for good. But my God, was that the most stupid thing I'd ever heard about from my son. I cannot believe that a girl in high school was able to work enough to make money to support herself somewhat, but a full-grown woman who should have a job and everything wasn't able to do a thing for herself. I don't care at all what happens with Tiffany after all this, but I want to make sure that she never comes around my granddaughter and her father ever again. As for Riley, she happened to pass all her exams and was accepted into the college of her dreams, and is at this moment getting really excited about becoming a college student. For her to get to that school, it only takes about 30 minutes on foot from my house, so I'm glad to say that she'll be staying with me in this house while she's attending. And when it comes to my son, he's coming back now from his long business trip out of state and has been crying for days about hearing everything that had been going on with Riley and her mother. He's been apologizing to her about it, but only to be apologized back to by Riley, as she feels bad for never telling him the truth about what had been going on in her mother's house. During that whole week, these two cried a whole lot, and it was to the point that even I began to cry about it all. There was one other thing that came out of all this, and that was the relation Riley has to her father. Tiffany had made it seem as though she wasn't his real child, and that started to make Riley very worried about everything, so because of that, they both took a DNA test. Nobody really knows if Tiffany was telling the truth or not about that, as she could have been with any number of other men while with my son. But if it were to turn out that she wasn't my son's daughter, he told her that he'd love her just the same as he's always loved her. When the results had come back from that test, it was found that she really is related to her father. And when seeing that, the both of them began to cry again. As of right now, we're all living under my roof again, as my son has sold his house to be able to send Riley to college. And as a family all under my roof again, my son and I are going to make sure that Riley is treated to the life she deserved at her mother's house, but never got. And even after she's out of college, I want her to know that she'll always have a place in my house, no matter what. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.